In the spring of 1944, somewhere in southern England, an army was preparing for the most important invasion in history. Tanks rolled into position. Camps buzzed with activity. Radios crackled with coded messages. Maps were studied. Orders were issued. From the air it looked like a force ready to cross the channel and smash into Nazi-occupied Europe. There was only one problem. This army did not exist. What the Germans were watching was a lie carefully constructed, obsessively detailed, and deadly effective. It was called Operation Fortitude, and without it, D-Day might have ended in catastrophe. By 1944, Nazi Germany was under immense pressure. The Soviet Union was pushing from the east. Allied bombing was devastating German cities, and everyone knew the invasion of Western Europe was coming. The only question was where. For Adolf Hitler, the coastline of France was one long nightmare. Hundreds of miles of beaches, ports, rivers, cliffs, every mile could be an invasion point. German forces were spread thin, forced to guess where the blow would fall. The most logical place was Pas-de-Calais, the shortest distance between Britain and France. It had good ports, flat beaches, direct routes into Germany. Hitler was convinced this was where the Allies would strike. British intelligence decided to turn that belief into a weapon. Operation Fortitude was born as part of a larger deception effort known as Operation Bodyguard. Its goal was simple in theory and terrifying in execution: convince the German high command that the real invasion would come at Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. To do that, the Allies needed more than fake reports. They needed a convincing reality. So they built an army out of nothing. The fictional force was called the 1st United States Army Group, or FUSAG. It was supposedly massive, over 1 million men. It had divisions, armor, supply depots, headquarters, and a commanding general. That general was George S. Patton. Patton was aggressive, famous, feared by the Germans. To Nazi intelligence, he was the most dangerous Allied commander alive. When Patton appeared in southeast England, inspecting troops and issuing orders, German spies took notice. A message was clear: Patton was preparing something big. In reality, he was commanding ghosts. Across England, inflatable tanks were positioned in fields. Wooden aircraft sat on fake airstrips. Canvas trucks lined roads. Entire camps were constructed with tents, kitchens, fuel dumps, and latrines built solely to be seen from the air. Allied reconnaissance knew the Germans were watching, so they gave them something to see. Radio traffic sealed the illusion. Skilled operators transmitted thousands of fake messages, mimicking the communication patterns of a real army. They complained about supplies, requested reinforcements, discussed training schedules. German signal intelligence intercepted it all. To Berlin, it sounded authentic. Then came the double agents. British counterintelligence had captured or turned nearly every German spy in Britain. Instead of shutting them down, the Allies used them. Carefully controlled messages were fed back to Germany, confirming everything the Germans already believed. Pas-de-Calais, Patton, a massive buildup. Every lie was layered with truth. That made it lethal. As June approached, Fortitude split into two parts. Fortitude North suggested a fake invasion of Norway. Fortitude South focused relentlessly on Pas-de-Calais. The Germans were forced to divide their attention, their troops, and their certainty. Then, on June 6, 1944, the real invasion began. Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy. Paratroopers dropped inland. Naval guns thundered. The largest amphibious assault in history was underway. But in Berlin, confusion reigned. German commanders hesitated. Normandy looked like an invasion, but was it the real one, or a diversion? Fortitude had trained them to expect deception. Hitler himself believed Normandy was a feint. The result was fatal delay. Entire German armored divisions sat idle near Pas-de-Calais, waiting for Patton's Phantom Army to strike. Orders to move them were stalled. Requests were denied. Critical hours slipped away. Even as Allied forces struggled to hold the beaches, German reinforcements were held back. Fortitude was still working after D-Day had already begun. Fake radio traffic continued. Double agents reported that Normandy was a secondary operation, that the main invasion was still coming, that Patton was ready. The Germans believed it. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. Allied forces had secured the beachhead. Ports were captured. Supplies poured in. The Western Front was open. Operation Fortitude did not kill soldiers directly. It didn't fire a shot. but it shaped the battlefield more decisively than many divisions ever could. Historians agree, without Fortitude, D-Day might have failed. If German armor had counterattacked immediately, the landings could have been pushed back into the sea. Thousands more would have died. The war in Europe might have dragged on for years longer. Instead, a fake army saved Europe. The brilliance of Fortitude lay in its understanding of the enemy. It didn't invent new fears, it amplified existing ones. It exploited German assumptions, Hitler's rigid thinking, and the structure of Nazi command, where hesitation at the top paralyzed action below. It also marked a turning point in intelligence warfare. Fortitude proved that deception could be as powerful as firepower, that controlling information could shape reality, that wars are not only fought on beaches and battlefields, but inside the minds of decision-makers. Even after the war, German officers admitted how completely they had been fooled. Some insisted Patton's army must have existed, unable to accept that they had been defeated by rubber tanks, fake radios, and carefully crafted lies. Operation Fortitude remains one of the greatest intelligence operations in history, not because it was flashy, but because it was invisible. Its success was measured in what didn't happen: reinforcements that never arrived, counterattacks that never came, orders that were never given. In the end, Fortitude reminds us of a hard truth about modern warfare. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is not an army you can see, but one your enemy believes is coming. And sometimes the difference between victory and disaster is a lie told perfectly.